Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. It is March 8th. So, today, so this is what happened during my last reading. I referenced a prediction that I had made in February of 2019 with regards to the next president and vice president of the United States. And that got a lot of really interesting feedback. People trying to guess who the vice president might be. As I said, it was going to be a woman of color, Black. It was going to be somebody younger, much younger than the president, and somebody with a lot of energy. And so there were a lot of names floating around. Okay, so I'm going to look at the top three. These are the ones that come to mind when I think about it. So we're going to start there. They are Kamala Harris, Val Denning, Stacey Abrams. So I'm going to take a look at them. I'm going to try to keep this down to a few cards each and see if I can get a handle on their energy. Tomorrow, March 9th, I will be releasing part 2 of this video, and that is going to be looking at powerhouse women, Katie Porter, Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar. So, join me, why don't you? Come on down, let's take a look. So, I have a question, and I think my first question, we're going to look at Kamala Harris. What role is Kamala most likely to have in the next Democratic administration White House? If she has one. So, Kamala Harris future, Kamala Harris future, Kamala Harris future. Let us see what we see, shall we? All right, so let's start here with the Five of Swords. This is indicating, the swords tend to be about law, truth, integrity, that kind of energy. So it very much looks to me like she is picking up these swords and she is taking what she needs or requires, and those that she is going to replace or those that she is sending off, she is doing so because they have not served well. So right off the top, I want to say this is really, really looking like Attorney General of the United States. That is the energy right now that I am picking up. She might have slightly higher aspirations, but when it comes right down to it, that's really the department or the energy that agency requires, okay? It requires somebody very strong and very clear-headed who knows the law, obeys the law, and wants to move forward within law, and more importantly, wants to create a sense of teamwork and unity. She wants to clear out the cobwebs and the dark corners and the reputation. She wants to clear the reputation because Trump has so destroyed that department, not only with his, deep state nonsense, but with Bill Barr, who's in a whole heap of trouble. So she energetically, it feels like if she's going to get a position within the administration, it feels very much like that could be the position. Now, I will tell you, when I made that prediction a year ago, February, it was really clear to me that she would be the most likely candidate for vice president. But as the debates went on and time sort of moved forward, that energy seemed to shift away from her a little bit. I got to say honestly, and whether you think it's right or wrong or it was good or bad, attacking Joe Biden about the whole busing thing when she was young, it was terrible. I'm not defending it, but I'm saying the attack sort of put people's backs up. And so from that time, it just felt as if that vice presidency was sort of moving away a little bit out of her reach. And so that could be what this Four of Cups represents, right? That she would really like to be strongly considered for the vice presidency. But ultimately, when it comes right down to it, her greatest strength is going to be passing judgment. It's going to be heading and ruling the Justice Department for the United States. And I see her doing it not with force, which is what Bill Barr has sort of established, this whole do it my way or get out nonsense. She looks as if she is going to be able to handle not only the transition, but more importantly, the cleanup and the putting back together that sort of tattered and shattered, not only the reputation, but honestly the morale and the people, and bringing in lawyers and staff who know right from wrong and really want to do that which is right and work on the right side. So, and she's going to do that with communication. She's going to do that with firmness, with clever thinking. And I can see that as a really, really strong position for her. It's interesting that both Trump cards are coming up because it really does look like, I almost want to say that there has been more damage done to that department than we even know or recognize at this time. But she's going to uncover it, and she's going to be able to bring, like I say, some clarity and some significant healing to that situation. So I don't see her as clearly for vice president, but I do see her in a powerful and important position moving forward within that administration, should she be offered it and should she choose to accept it. This is early days yet. We have a ways to go. But energetically right now, it feels like that is sort of the strongest potential of what is in the works. All right. Let us move on. Now, Val Denning is that, I think she was the police chief of golly, I can't remember the county now, in Florida. Anyways, well liked, well respected, etc. She was also the woman who played a significant role in the impeachment hearing of Trump, right? She was part of that group of, I don't know, 7 or 8, however many of them there were. And frankly, she represented herself very, very well simply by what she did and how she handled herself. She really did raise her, people's awareness of her. She, came off really good, and people were impressed by what they saw and how she handled herself. So we're going to look at her next. And I have to tell you that energetically, Val Denning and Stacey Abrams, there are some things, some energies that they sort of actually really have in common. Camilla has experience, okay? Like she's been in government for several years. She sort of has a clearer handle on the way things work. Both Stacy for sure does not have any federal experience in government, although she does have the experience she has, and she is a smart lady. And whether it's now or later, she is destined to literally shine. Okay, so whether it's now or later, her star is coming for her. Okay, she's there. She has a destined role that she's going to play within the government of the United States. Val Denning has a very similar energy. Now, she has limited experience with the federal government because, unless I am very wrong, she was just voted into the House in 2018. So she doesn't have a lot of experience, but what she does have is an image that people respect. There's a gentleness, a kindness, and frankly, a smartness to her also that puts her also in a really good position. So I got to tell you, I don't know if we're going to get real clarity on either or, but let's take a look and see what we find out. I'm going to look at Val Denning first. Okay, here we go. Come on down. Val Denning, future, Val Denning, future, Val Denning, future. All right, so she has the Ace of Swords coming up, which is a really good, strong, positive card. And she has the Three of Cups, in this case, talking literally about divine feminine energy, right? About that kind of energy, really moving into a place of significance within the White House, moving into a place where there is simply more female energy. And so the way things are approached, dealt with, is really going to shift from that sort of patriarchal, white father type image. And it's going to start moving in a much different direction. So for her, there's definitely going to be, whatever and however her future unfolds, there's definitely going to be things from her past, ways in which she handled previous positions that is going to really serve her well. It is almost like these flowers, if you will, in the Six of Cups. And of course, the Six of Cups talks about the past, right? People from the past or situations from the past. But in this case, it really looks as if the Six of Cups with these flowers are almost like it's going to bring her trophies from the past or recognition from the past. So there are things that she has done and experienced that really serve her well and frankly make her look good. It puts her in a good position going forward. And she's going to get a news or offer of something that she's going to really be excited and encouraged about. So again, now we have the King of Swords coming up. So very interesting. It is even possible, given these cards, that she may also be seriously considered for Attorney General of the United States. So that's interesting. That looks like it's almost putting Camilla and Val in sort of, and it's not, it doesn't feel like a competition as much as it just feels like, you know, an assessment being done on both. But there is something about, you know, her law and order background that is going to serve her very, very well going forward. So even I want to say, if it is not in this administration, sort of right from the get-go, she could move into that position or be offered a position. And again, it's interesting, again, we have the Four of Cups coming up here. So it may be a situation where quietly she's being offered something and she thinks, you know what, I would love to do that in 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, but right now I'm really focused on doing what I need to do for my people, my constituents. So again, I see a little bit of reluctance in terms of changing her role or taking what is offered. And it's not in any way that she is insulted by what is offered. It feels like she's very honored. But there is a sense that she has work to do where she's at, and perhaps that work is not near enough to completion for her. But again, she also has a really lovely and brilliant future. She is going to be in the political arena for many years to come. She's not a shooting star, if you get what I mean, as opposed to a really bright star. Okay, so she's not going to flame out and vanish like the way a shooting star does, as much as she's going to take up residence in the constellation and sit there solidly and just shine and do that which is her destiny. That which is going to serve not only her highest purpose, but more broadly the higher purpose and benefit of the country that she represents and serves. So, very interesting. You know, you've got your government card, you've got the court card here. Fascinating. Just fascinating. She's got a lot of swords. There is something very definitely that she is either going to focus on or going to continue to work with or transition to that seems to have a lot of energy focused in the law and correcting things, getting things right, putting things back in order and back in place. She presents very, very well. She has an energy about her that is that combination of sort of tough and strong, but there's a gentleness and a softness. I really, honestly, I'm getting the picture of a mama bear, right? Very maternal, very gentle, very giving, but don't mess with her. Don't mess with what is under her jurisdiction, because she will defend it like a mama bear would defend her cubs, okay? So again, a really bright future for her. The Three of Hearts, the Three of Pentacles, and the Pentacles showing up, the Ace of Pentacles showing up. So what I'm getting from that is, while there may be some disappointments early on as her career moves forward, when it's all said and done, she really, really is going to have made quite the impressive name for herself. And she's very good at working in groups, like really good at bringing people together, bringing the right people together, so that she is able to create groups of people working on specific goals or tasks that do well together. They fit together. They're sort of, she's very good at sort of matching people up with the right people to get done whatever the objective is that she's trying to accomplish with whatever group works she is in charge of or creating. It's just kind of one of her real strengths. All right, let's take a look at Stacey Abrams. Now, she has been very, very busy in Georgia. God, I hope I got that state right. I'm pretty sure it's Georgia. And she's been very, very active in getting the whole voter rights things, you know, attention brought to, you know, the voter rolls, and people have been removed from them, and suppressing the vote, particularly suppressing the vote of minorities, suppressing the votes of those people who were not going to vote or likely to vote Republican. And she's been working super hard at making sure that that corrupt situation is not only brought to light, but frankly, but gets corrected. So, and she is, again, making a name for herself. She is a really remarkable lady. She has an interesting energy about her. When she is sort of in repose or quiet, right? And she's just, her face is not blank, but, you know, still. She radiates power and force and, you know, harnessed energy almost. When she starts talking, her entire being, not only her face, but her entire being just lights up. It sparkles. She's riveting. You kind of almost can't take your eyes off of her. There is just a magic and an energy around her. And I firmly believe that whether she ends up as vice president in this next administration, there will come a time where she is going to hold a very high office within the government. And whether that is actually as president, vice president, whether it is some other really powerful office. For some reason, I'm hearing Secretary of State. So that's interesting. That certainly wasn't a thought that flitted into my mind before now. But again, you know, this is the thing that you have to realize and remember. There has been so much damage done. There is like not a department that has not been royally screwed up by this administration, who has not had their reputation shredded, who has the department that has not been like destroyed, torn apart, belittled, decimated. No, choose your word, right? So there's going to be a lot of really powerful people being put into really important positions because there is so much that is going to need to get corrected, fixed. And you know, and honestly, a lot of it is not going to get returned to what was before. It's going to get returned, or it's going to evolve into something a little bit stronger and a little bit better. Because frankly, there were things that were wrong before. That is why somebody like Trump was able to march himself into office, because there were too many loopholes. And the next incoming administration understands with a fair bit of clarity that there are a lot of fences to mend. There is a lot of repair work to be done. So, come on down. Let's take a look at Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams' future, Stacey Abrams' future, Stacey Abrams' future. Okay. She she is going to take her experience, she's going to take her lessons from the past, and she's going to move forward with them, with the knowledge and the wisdom. There is a real balance to her. temperance, literally, an even-handedness about her that is very attractive. It is very calming. She's an interesting combination of sort of okay, so this is the phrase that just came to mind. A steel fist in a velvet glove. Okay, so there is a gentleness and there is a force. There is an energy and there is a stillness about her. And it creates a very nice balance and energy around her. She's got some tough decisions to make, frankly. I think that she may be offered one or two different roles, kind of almost like with a take your choice, right? Pick what you want to do. It's interesting that this Three of Cups card keeps showing up because it's definitely talking about that feminine divine energy, that really powerful female energy coming into play as we move forward, as your country moves forward. Now, this Three of Hearts is interesting because there is actually some real disappointment that she has had to face, and certainly being cheated out of that last election win. In some way, it was almost as if she knew it was bad, but she was really sure that they would be able to get enough momentum and enough strength going forward that she actually would be able to sort of almost roll over or negate the corruption and all of the suppression. And it was really, really disappointing to her when, even with everything she and her people did, that election was still stolen from her. And I almost get the feeling that there really is a part of her that needs to sort of continue or finish healing from that. It rocked her world a little bit more than I think we see on the surface. So there's a sense from her that she's really reluctant to make the wrong choice because she really feels like she cannot weather is a little bit too strong a word, but there's just a sense of, you know what, I don't need two kind of really big losses back to back. So I can actually see her with this Four of Swords, pulling back a little bit, and depending on how these offers are presented, she may choose something a little bit less out in front and something a little bit more behind the scenes as she can continue the process of kind of healing and regrouping. In some ways, there is a sense with her that she hasn't quite finished doing what she needs and wants to do in terms of voter suppression, because part of her really recognizes that things have been so gerrymandered and there are Republican states that have been so suppressed that if that doesn't get fixed, it doesn't matter how good or bad a candidate is going forward. Things are going to roll out in a way that is unbelievably unfair. And there seems to be a real almost anger in her that is harnessed about good people, really good, talented people, not being given the opportunity because they have not been able to be elected because the people who would vote for them are literally being denied the right to vote or the opportunity to vote. She has a deep, strong sense of destiny and a very strong sense of faith and her own fate. So again, she is another one where there is going to be some, really powerful energy. Wow, look at this. Okay, so this really is talking about the defeat. It's talking about what happened, the the governorship that she did not win. It's talking about, and this is actually not her. This is what she is fighting against. She is fighting against voters being stabbed in the back, voters being nullified, voters being blocked and prevented. It really has become a very forceful energy and movement that surrounds her. And I think that if she is hesitant to move forward right now, that's going to be the reason why. She hasn't finished the fight, and she has no intentions of losing that fight. Now, if a hard enough request is made, frankly, against any of these three women to take certain positions, I don't see anything that indicates that they would not proudly and to the very, very best of their considerable ability step into whatever position it is. So this is really interesting because, here we see a change, right? This is not her death. This is just a significant and serious change coming for her. So this is interesting because some of the cards that I would have expected to show up, things like the sun, right? Things like the Four of Wands representing celebration. They didn't show up. And so for right now, we can continue to speculate and throw out choices all we want, and we should because it's kind of fun. And it does send energy, right? It sends energies in certain directions, right? But the star card, that did not show up. But it tells me that right now things are incredibly fluid still. And I think part of the reason for that is that it is still a little bit early. Seriously, depending on which of the two nominees or the two candidates get the nominee, that is going to set a very, very different tone for what goes on in that administration and in that White House. And so it just feels as if quietly in the back of both Sanders and Biden's mind, they have ideas rolling around, they're thinking about things, they're evaluating stuff until they feel, or whoever feels more settled, more firm, feels like, yeah, I've got this, and I now really seriously need to start looking at who I want to put in my administration, who I want around me. It just feels like things are really, really up in the air. And I have to tell you, I've heard comments about, well, did Amy Klobuchar withdraw from, sorry about that little interruption there. So what was I saying? Oh, yeah, there's been talk about, maybe Klobuchar backed out of the race because, she was offered a vice presidency or she was offered this or that. And it really feels like nobody has offered anything as much as there is a lot of talk. There's a lot of conversation about potentials, but I really don't get the feeling that anything is set in concrete, almost as if people are kind of reluctant to set anything in concrete just yet. It's still early going. Okay, I am going to carry on, and I'm going to record the video that you are going to see tomorrow. And that one is taking a look at the futures of Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, and Katie Porter. So until tomorrow, take care, be well, and I'll see you really soon. Bye.